The title of this video is Astrology Aspects that Attract Emotionally Unavailable People and Narcissists. So my name is George Brabena, and in this video I will tell you what placements could you have that attract people that are toxic, people that are afraid of intimacy. What could it be that you have in your blueprint that would set you up for a lifetime of dealing with emotionally unavailable people unless you heal those aspects? And how do you do that? So find out in this video. First of all, I have always attracted emotionally unavailable people. So what aspects do I have that have done that? Well, I'm a Cancer Sun and Rising, and I find that prominent Cancer placements, if they are unevolved, because of their careful nature, because they're slow moving, because they're indirect, because in essence they're avoidant, they can attract emotionally unavailable people. Water placements in general can, ironically, I know. Because water, that's emotion. So how come that water would attract emotionally unavailable people? If you have Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces prominent in the chart, chances are you have a personality that has the tendency to avoid conflict. And any personality that avoids conflict is going to attract conflict avoiders. And that's essentially what emotionally unavailable people are. But what about narcissists? Well, they get also attracted to this because if you're not threatening them, if you're not challenging the narcissist, of course it makes you more attractive, makes it easier to abuse and control you. So essentially, if you have astrology aspects that make it easy to control you, you will attract controllers. Okay? Avoidant attachment style and narcissists. These are controlling people. They try to minimize interactions in which you could challenge or threaten or criticize them, in which you could threaten their fear wires that once they are tripped are causing them to feel anxiety because of fear of abandonment. Okay, the narcissist and the avoidant both, they have fear wires that are very easily tripped. And because they're so easily tripped, because their personality is so fickle, because their ego is so weak, they need people that are very considerate, very accommodating, very careful not to trigger their pathological defense mechanisms, which are essentially in overdrive because they're hypervigilant and they're always expecting betrayal at every given turn, unconsciously. So, people that attract those people, they would be very good at detecting unconsciously those pathological defenses, those projections, those fear wires. If you are a covert type, if you are a detector, if you are a psychic, if you are hypersensitive, if you have prominent water placements in the chart, chances are you are very good at detecting the mental illness in the other person because you have learned in your childhood you need to be careful not to trigger it, so you don't get an emotional backlash, so you don't trigger abandonment. What happens if you trigger an emotionally unavailable person? What do? They pull away. They disappear. They ask for space. So they abandon you. Therefore, you must have experienced abandonment in childhood. Okay, so with that explanation out of the way, let's talk about the placements. So, of course, Water signs is obvious. Why Cancer? Because Cancer is like this. And that's exactly what avoidance are. Avoidance and narcissists are like this. Well, a narcissist not really, but narcissists need you to be like this. Okay? Pisces, a little bit less. Because Pisces is, let's get it out, let's just talk about it, no boundaries. But because there is a lack of boundaries, because the sign has an affinity to let things slide, to ignore the problem in the room, it attracts people who need you to ignore the problem, who need you to ignore yourself. Pisces is the solution of the self. Self-sabotage. Becoming your own worst enemy. Well, a controller needs you to be your enemy, so you are not their enemy. If you don't choose yourself, you will choose them. And because they never choose you, it's a match. It's a compatible, of course. So Pisces has a tendency not to choose themselves. And Scorpio, well, Scorpio is very good at avoiding the trigger, because Scorpio knows the trigger. Scorpio knows all about the trigger. So it depends, you know, it's very tricky, because Scorpio either gonna be completely triggering the other person, in which case they will never attract these types, or they just refuse to trigger the other person in order to control things. So Scorpio has a controlling tendency themselves. They control themselves. And of course, that goes hand in hand with the other person who's trying to control you, right? So if you're trying to control yourself, they're controlling you, they're happy. They're happy. They're getting what they want. So what other placements? Virgo. Virgo is also very good at controlling yourself. So you would also, if you have prominent Virgo placements, attract somebody who is emotionally unavailable, because Virgo is very rational. Virgo is the masculine, mercurial brain, which tends to look at everything through a lens of goals, solutions, tasks. While emotions, they're not about that. Emotions are about the process. Like women. Women are about the process, and men are about the goal, the purpose. Like, why are we going through this? Why are we doing this? Virgo is the why. And that's exactly what emotionally unavailable people are like. They are goal-oriented, like psychopaths. I want the money, so I need you to get me some money, or I want the sex, so I'm going to use you, but I'm not going to commit to you. I'm not going to have any intimacy with you, because it's not about the intimacy. I mean, what goal does intimacy serve? Right? Because intimacy is about the process, vulnerability, emotional availability. And that's not what Virgo is about. So, of course, Virgo placements would attract these people. Keep in mind that all these placements that I'm talking about, of course, they also apply to the emotionally unavailable person. If you have any of these placements, water or Virgo, and you attract emotionally unavailable people, it's because you're expressing the emotionally unavailable nature of these placements. Now, what about planets? Planets that are prominent emotionally unavailable people. Jupiter, because it deserves boundaries. Neptune, because it deserves boundaries. And Saturn, because it creates very rigid boundaries. Because Saturn is about keeping things away and keeping things under control. It's a controller aspect. And Neptune is a sacrifice aspect, which is the complete opposite. But actually, if you have Neptune, Jupiter, or Saturn prominent in the chart, this is an indicator that you attract emotionally unavailable people. Why? Well, because Saturn means you are controlling yourself. And Neptune means you are sacrificing yourself. Both of these things work just perfectly for the emotionally unavailable person and the narcissist, because that's exactly what they need from you. So what else? Jupiter. Well, Jupiter, because Jupiter is about detachment. Jupiter is about moving on quickly. Jupiter is about independence. So also prominent Sagittarius placements in the chart are an indicator of emotional unavailability. Because Sagittarius has a bad body connection. This also applies to Gemini. This Gemini-Sagittarius axis is just like, don't get me started on how many emotionally unavailable men with these ascendants, Sag or Gemini, I have seen. A lot of them. However, why? First of all, Sagittarius is the King of Wands. It's, I do things because I want to do things. I want to indulge. I don't want to deal with any accountability or responsibilities. I don't want to deal with commitments or duties. I just want to have fun. I just want to have an adventure. I just want to explore my options. Open-endedness. Non-committedness. Like it or not, but that's the unhealed expression of Sagittarius Gemini placements. So having these in your chart or the partner's chart, if they are prominent, is an indicator of emotional unavailability. Remember, I'm talking about the unhealed expression. Yeah? So don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about people who, oh, so all these placements are emotionally unavailable. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course not. No, of course not. But the majority of people, are they healed? Are they working on themselves? Are they recognizing their own shadows? Are they taking responsibility for what's happening to them in their relationships? Yes, a lot of people are. And a lot of people are not. So this is why I'm making this video. This is for those people who are not doing the work, or those people who attract the people who are not doing the work. So you understand why you are attracting them. What part of you is attracting them? So the parts in you that are attracting these people, no boundaries, or too many boundaries. It's about extremes. Self-sacrifice, being a martyr or a helper. Self-neglect, abandoning yourself to make the other person happy. So if the other person says, I need space because they're a control freak, you will say, of course, I will give you all the space you need, no problem. So this is a pathological dynamic. Number 4, if you are considerate and you're so pampering and you're so loving and you're trying to avoid triggering the precarious house of cards, which is the fragile, infantile ego of the other person. And number 5, if you are freedom-seeking and open-ended and everything goes, no rules, no boundaries, no commitments, you just like to give all the freedom to the partner and you like to have all the freedom yourself, that's also pathological, that's mentally ill. So if you have these 5 things, then yes, this is why you're attracting a person like this. If you have any of these traits. Unfortunately, of course, you can see that many people have at least one of them. It's very common. It's very normal. Because we're all getting traumatized, nobody's really being taught what a healthy relationship looks like. So we are confused. We are very confused about how we ought to behave. So we have weak boundaries, weak values. So what signs would be very good in relationships? What signs are emotionally available by default, like guaranteed? Is there such a thing? Not really, no. There's no such thing. So don't get it twisted. Just know that there are certain signs that have a tendency to do that, to avoid. Especially mutables. I'm looking at you, Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo. And then the cardinals, Cancer and Libra. I didn't even talk about Libra, did I? How did I forget Libra? Oh my goodness. Libra, I've stopped attracting Libras years ago because I got tired of Libras. I have a Libra moon. My mother is a Libra. Her sun is conjunction my moon. And my mother has never been emotionally available in my life. And she's a Libra stallion. And all the Libras that I ever attracted, crickets. Crickets, okay? So this is like the person is completely stuck in the mental, the intellectual realm, looking at relationships through a detached position, like the myth of Thesaurus, in which he's pissing off his lovers because he's not looking at his lovers. He's just looking at the relationship like a transaction, like a business project. So people who look at the relationships as a business proposal, like a car exchange, or, oh, I like this car, so I'm going to commit to this car, but if this car doesn't give me what I want, and suddenly the car wants me to pay them more for rent, aka to fulfill the emotional needs, I don't like this, so people who are transactional, people who look at relationships in a detached, intellectual lens, emotionally unavailable. Yeah. So be careful with Libras. Don't get your heart broken with those air signs, especially Aquarius suns and risings and moons. I mean, any Aquarius really. I mean, Aquarius, Gemini, and bro, before you complain, I was talking about myself at the beginning of this video. So if you're triggered from watching this, watch it. Why you have a problem being triggered? I trigger myself so I can heal, so I can recognize, okay, so there's something about my placements that have to do something with my behavior. Aquarius has the issue of, I don't really care about anybody, we are all the same. If we are all the same, we don't matter. If we don't matter, you're emotionally unavailable. It means you're not committed. You're not attached. You're detached. Uranus is the ruler. Uranus is a planet of detachment. Detachment is a pathology in relationships. Detachment about pretty much anything in the relationship is a pathology. I mean, you're either attached to getting a healthy outcome, to your needs being met and to your partner's needs being met. You're either attached to that or you're mentally ill. Okay, there's no in between. No, oh, sometimes I attach, sometimes I'm not. None of that air sign flighty nonsense, okay? So air signs have a tendency to do that. Why? Because if you have prominent air placements, that's what your parents did. Yeah, both of my parents are air signs, so don't get me started. They're both emotionally unavailable. So every air sign I've ever interacted with, every single one of them, okay, has either been emotionally unavailable or they dealt with emotionally unavailable people. Why? Because it's a tendency when you are in the air, in the thoughts, in the details, in the mind. You're not in the body. You're not in what's happening. You're not in reality. You're not in your needs. You're not in your feelings. You're in fantasy. You're in imagination. You're in the business proposition. Okay. You're in the project. You're in the goal. You're in the solution. But you're not in the problem. The problem is needs. What need is not being met? Air sign says needs? I have needs, they have needs. What do you mean? We don't need anything. We are... Yeah, okay. Free, right? Freedom, the air, freedom. Yeah, okay. So freedom to be mentally ill, I understand. But to be mentally healthy means you recognize your needs, the partner's needs, and you recognize how do I get both of our needs met at the same time. To do that, you need emotional intelligence, emotional awareness. That's not exactly air sign territory here. Unfortunately, with the water signs, it's their territory, but they tend to ignore what they see. Because it's a covert energy. It's like, oh, under the surface, let me hide. Air signs don't hide. They talk, but they don't see, like they don't recognize what's going on. The water signs, they recognize. They know exactly what's going on, but they don't talk. So it's like, ideally, you want both. You want there to be a balance of energies inside you. So what do you have if you have imbalance? What if somebody has all air or all water? Chances are they're emotionally unavailable. However, all air is far more likely to be emotionally unavailable than all water. Because at least with the water, person will have a harder time to escape. Because their body is going to express all that shit, because the body is the chart. Now, for example, me, personally, I have a balanced chart because I have an air-water combo. I have water dominant with loads of air. So, I have a perception and I talk about it. We're not letting anything slide here, which is why you can see me talking about anything here. I have a Mercury in Gemini, conjunction Venus, conjunction Lilith. So, I'm well equipped to talk about what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling. And that is what you need to do. If you don't want to deal with emotionally unavailable people, you need to sense what's going on, what they're hiding from you. I know this is annoying, that you have to deal with lies and deception and manipulation and gaslighting. I know, nobody likes this. Welcome to planet Earth. But you have to be able to sense that somebody's playing you or playing themselves. Number one. So that's water. If you lack water, connect with water. Number two, after you sense it, that's not good enough, you need a strategy to deal with it. That's air. So you need to talk, you need to confront, you need to understand mentally. What are you doing? Are you gaslighting? Are you pretending that you're living in a fantasy world in which you have no needs and I have no needs? And when I do have needs, I'm mentally ill? Are you living in that fantasy world? Because then we need to expose that. We need to talk about it. Because chances are the moment you expose it, the person is gone. You push them away. Good! Success means you talk about reality. You engage in reality. You feel reality. You talk about reality. Reality is incompatible with the mentally ill. Okay? The emotionally unavailable person is living in fantasy. They want you to be in fantasy because fantasy they can control. The body, its feelings, its needs. What needs I have? What needs you have? It's impossible to control that. The divine feminine cannot be controlled by the patriarchal control system, which is the rational, logical, masculine mind. Adam trying to rape Lilith. And when Lilith leaves, because Lilith is not having this shit show, and then Eve takes her place. And Eve is a slave to Adam. Yes, do what you want. I submit. I will give you the space, Adam, if you need the space. I will play the neurotic shadow dance so you can feel regulated in your neurosis, so you don't have to deal with your neurosis while we are together. So you have to deal with your neurosis on your own because you don't want to be with me. You want to be with yourself while getting all the benefits of me because you are mentally deranged and you need therapy. So of course I am the problem. So you're blaming me, you're gaslighting me, saying you're too clingy, you're too needy. We heard it all. We heard it all. But in any case, I'm just rambling. Yeah, this is just it in a nutshell. Huh? I have Pisces rising in my 12th house and Pisces in Aquarius. House can be in 2 signs. Yeah, sure. House can be in 2 signs. Okay. Yeah, Pisces rising, of course. I'm a Cancer rising. Don't... I've heard it all about water element risings and the emotionally unavailable stories with people. Which is funny, because usually the water person is very available when the partner needs them. But they're not available when they need them. When I need me. Who's available for me? Me. With the air. Talking about my needs. Which then pushes the mentally deranged person away. Thank God. It's pushing them away. So all these videos online that tell you, how can I keep my avoidant attachment person? How can I help to make this relationship with my mentally ill person work? You fucking kidding me? You want to make a fantasy defense work? Bro, that's not healing. That's enabling an addiction, like an alcoholic. How do I make the alcoholic comfortable so he can keep drinking his alcohol while being in a relationship with an alcoholic? I don't think so. You either be the Empress and you know what you want and what you deserve, so the universe will be compatible with you, meaning the universe will give you what you want, or you can say, oh, I will try to make this work. I'm getting the breadcrumbs. I'm getting the garbage of this world. That's, sorry, not sorry, but an emotionally unavailable person, that's the garbage of this world. Who are you kidding? This is 12th house Pisces issues. Oh, I can save them, so I'm going to put up with the shit show and I'm going to be chronically dysregulated. I'm going to abandon myself to just help this person because at least it's something, right? I can work with this. Scarcity consciousness, poverty consciousness. So you want to be in poverty consciousness, dealing with the scraps because at least you're getting something, instead of saying, wait a second, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I deserve? Cut it out. Give me what I want or leave. So that's the Empress. And when you embody the Empress, guess who's coming? The Emperor. Not the Page of Wands. I'm so here. I am really excited to meet you, but ciao. Or the Knight of Wands. Oh my God, don't even. The player. Like, I'm here one day and then I'm gone the next. No. The Empress goes with an Emperor. Not a Knight of Wands. It's a pathetic little knight. Like, an immature child or a teenager is never going to be compatible with a wise elder. A king is not compatible with a knight. So are you a knight? Are you a king or are you an emperor? First of all, we need to stop focusing on the partner and their problems and fixing their issues, accommodating them, making them more comfortable. It's never about them. It's about you. Who are you? Are you a knight? Are you a king? Are you an emperor? Because I know who I am. I'm the Empress. So if you come to me, I'm looking at you, thinking, can you give me what I want? Can you fulfill my needs? If the answer is yes, you can stay. If the answer is no, you cannot stay. You can F off, like leave. This space is a sacred space. Only what gives me what I am looking for is allowed in this space. The moment you're playing with my feelings, You're trying to, for this time, I need to put you aside and prioritize me. You can do this once. Do it again. And do it again. Make it a pattern of neglecting me. You're gone. But unfortunately, the emotionally unavailable person is usually a manipulator. They're pretending to be emotionally available to you. Do you see that? When they're pretending to be everything for you in the first months or the first year, they give you everything that you want. So you do feel like an empress being with them. But then suddenly they pull away after you attached, after you committed, after you invested. The signs were there. Your intuition was telling you that this person is going to be triggered, is going to abandon you when you do this or when you do that. You have sensed it. But because the person was giving you what you wanted and you didn't want to ruin it, you chose to ignore it. So that's your problem, not their problem. They're just following their program like a robot, like human AI. So how do you deal with robots? Do you say, oh, the computer is not working? No, no, no. What about you? Why are you settling with this computer? Get a new computer, right? If they treat you like a commodity, give them a taste of their own medicine. Oh, you treat me like a furniture, like a phone. You want to use me, but you don't like it when I need you? Okay, turn it around. If you allow yourself to be used and abused, what are you doing about it? What's your role? Are you just a mobile phone? Like, what are you doing? Do you have any agency? Do you have an autonomy? Do you have any power? Do you have any control of the situation? Or are you just somebody who says, yeah, I don't care about control. I'm just giving it all away. You have yours, but I will not have mine. Or worse, are you somebody who needs to control everything and who says, oh, I need control so I can know that you're going to be there even if I push you away? Like, are you somebody who lacks empathy? Of course, most of you are not. But the person you're dealing with, they are like that, right? They don't have empathy for you. They don't care about you. They don't want to fulfill your needs. They told you through their actions what they're interested in. They told you what they're committed to. They're committed to their gratification of their wants for as long as the fear is controlling them in their behavior. So to be compatible with fear is to be in fear yourself. Are you afraid in the relationship? What is your tolerance to fear, to living in fear? Because if I'm with a partner, I'm the empress. Do you think I'm going to put up with fear? I don't think so. I don't think so. So if you make me anxious through your actions, I'm just going to go somewhere else. I'm not going to blame you for it. No, I'm just going to leave. Will find myself somebody who doesn't make me anxious. Because guess what? There's plenty of people who will. So if you are in scarcity consciousness, if you are in poverty consciousness, I'm telling you that's what it is. Like it or not, you're going to tolerate being abused. It's a mindset. It's a way of being. It attracts breadcrumbs. It attracts emotionally unavailable. It attracts scarcity. Because you're tolerating it. You're saying, yes, it is good enough. Which of course it is not. But it's like, I try to make it work. Do not try. Neither works or it doesn't. If fear is the baseline of a relationship, it's not working. It's never worked. It's only working for as long as you're avoiding the triggers. stability, emotional availability, loyalty. It's about being able to handle you, being able to handle your triggers. Oh, but I'm so selfish. It's my responsibility when they are reactive, when they are upset. It's my fault. So if you are somebody who always blames yourself, who takes responsibility for the partner's reactions, you may suffer from an attachment wound that is running your relationships unconsciously, where your attachment system is damaged. The nervous system is trying to control everything, yes, control, by blaming you for it. And that's exactly how their system works too. They are addicted to control because your nervous system, chances are, is addicted to control as well. And your control may look different from their control, but it's still control. I'm controlling myself not to trigger them. I'm a controller. They're controlling me, so I don't trigger them. They're a controller. Walking on eggshells, dancing around, the shadow dance. So this is behind emotional unavailability. Okay. What about a sign encapsulated in a house? Yeah, what does that mean? Every sign is encapsulated in a house. What the fuck? Huh? House starts in one, sign continues with another. That's normal, but doesn't mean anything. You see that in every single chart that exists. It means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. So yeah, if you are blaming yourself, that's your body being driven by the devil, unfortunately. So the devil means guilt and shame complexes, prosecution complexes in the family, where you have been prosecuted before and you're trying to avoid being prosecuted again. And this repetition compulsion of trying to avoid prosecution, of course, attracts prosecutors who are going to prosecute you. That's what actually avoidance do. That's what narcissists do. They love to point the finger. You need to give him more space. You are being clingy. You're being needy. You're being too much. You blah, 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 blah. You are being triggered. You are the conflict. You are the drama. Because we are victim consciousness. Because victim-persecutor dynamics are where the persecutor pretends to be the victim, and the victim is being prosecuted, and the victim pretends that they're the prosecutor too. Oh yeah, I'm responsible, so of course they react, and now they can be the victim, and I have compassion for them, and I will try to treat them better. Hoping it's going to change. No, it's not going to change. Leave that man or woman. Sixth house starts in Pisces, has Aries in the middle. Yeah, this is completely irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant, believe me. I've heard this question many times. I do not want to hear this question because this is the most irrelevant thing ever. It means nothing. Nothing, baby. Okay? Good. So anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. If you're interested in my personal readings, check out my description down below. If you like to get a personal reading with me, to learn more about your placements or your partner's placements, if you're dealing with somebody like this, feel free to message me in any given time. With that being said, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.